Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do is, do we need to do something after the break, or it is just, is it just? Yeah, you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything. Don't worry. You didn't miss anything. So I'll say file, and then let me check. I go to Safari. Yeah, it's still going on. Oh no, no, it's done. So I'll say next. Set finish. Wait for some time. Wait for some time. So I go back my IntelliJ. Now, so what I'm going to do is, see, I will do it with a different user interface if the IDE is different. I'm doing it with IntelliJ IDEA. Fine. So I'll say file, new, and I will say project. Here I will say Java Enterprise. Why am I getting this option on IntelliJ IDEA? Because I have Ultimate Edition and I already have Tomcat installed on my machine. So here it is. I can say new. I can say, any one of these servers. You can see WebSphere, WebLogic, Jetty, this, that. I can say Tomcat server, and I just need to specify in which folder I have installed Tomcat. And what do you mean by installing Tomcat? It is just that you need to download and unzip it. It's a Java program. You just simply need to unzip it. That's it. Nothing more than that. So I already have downloaded it. I have Shakir, and within Shakir, I have software within software. You can see Apache Tomcat 9.0.4. So here I am. I have already selected this. I already have that, in my IDE. So I'll just keep it as it is. Now all of these are the different options that are available. I'll just keep them as it is. And I say next. When I do that, you see it does pick up the servlet environment. Now there are many frameworks that are supported in Java EE8 version. So you remember I did mention J2EE is gone 18 years back in 2002. It was J2EE, and then it was Java JEE5, and then 6, and then 7. Now we are on Java EE8. So in Java EE8, there are loads of things out here. The entire enterprise edition has got many APIs. You see, all of these are different APIs. The one that we are interested in is the servlet API. I repeat, you are going to get all of these options only if you have the Ultimate Edition, or else Spring Tool Suite will give you all. Even if Spring Tool Suite does not give you, you can just simply download Eclipse for JEE. I repeat, Eclipse for JEE. If you download Eclipse for JEE, you will not have to install those plugins. But why did I ask you all to install Spring Tool Suite? Because with that one single IDE, we install the plugins for JEE, and we will be able to work on Spring Boot as well. That is the reason. So otherwise, we would have downloaded Eclipse JEE and then Spring Tool Suite and so on. Not that you cannot write Spring Boot applications in Eclipse JEE, but you get all, lot many, options out here in Spring Tool Suite, which are very convenient. So I'll keep the servlet thing as it is. I won't make any changes. I'll say finish. And now when I do that, you see, it creates a project for me. You can see this, it creates a project for me. And in this project, you can see under Java, I do have Hello Servlet. It has automatically created one default servlet called Hello Servlet, right? Let me check what is the status of, oh yes, it's installing, but I'll still wait for some time. Can you see this? Installing software 41%. Let this go on. Okay, in the meanwhile, I will continue. So you see this, whether it is this IDE or any other IDE, all right? Any other IDE, it doesn't make a difference. Whichever IDE you use, you can very well have. You can see this @web servlet. This is the name of the servlet. And what is the URL pattern? What is the URL pattern? You remember this? We talked about servlet objects that you create and you deploy it on your Tomcat server or JBoss server or WebLogic or WebSphere server. When you deploy your application, it will have servlets. Now, there can be several servlets. Which servlet will be executed on which pattern, on which URL pattern is decided based on this value is equal to. So this is the annotation that you use. I repeat, this is the annotation that you use. And this annotation is what? It is an extra information to your Java to your runtime environment. When you see Hello Servlet is a class, but there is an additional information I'm giving you that this is actually a servlet class, where the name is Hello Servlet. It's a web servlet, and this is the URL pattern. That means whenever the request lands on the server ending with this URL, it is this servlet that will be executed. Simple. So like I have one class which is a servlet, can't I have several classes that can be servlets? Yes or no? Come on, yes or no? I can have several classes, isn't it? Correct, superb. I can have several classes, isn't it? Right? Beautiful. I can have several classes that can use this. I mean that can be servlets, and each class will have a different pattern. Like in this case, if I want to reach to home page, there will be one servlet that will render home. There will be another servlet that will be rendering about, and there will be yet another servlet which will render the list of jobs available based on this GWD job site, WD job site, and WD grade. Based on the values of these two parameters, that particular servlet will bring the list of, talk to the database, get the list of all the open positions, and then bring and render it. So it is this will be a different servlet called job servlet, perhaps. This will be a servlet called about servlet. This will be a servlet called home servlet, and so on, isn't it? So that's the difference. That's how it is. So you can have various different servlets here. So going back here again, see. And then this servlet has got a life cycle. Tell me, I did mention this. How many objects are created in your web application for each servlet? How many objects will be created? This is a class. Anikendu says one object. What about others? Y'all all agree? Yes, exactly. Yes, only one object will be created, and all the requests that land on the server with this URL pattern, note my words, note my words. I said each request that lands on your web application with this URL, it is this servlet that will be executed, and it is the same object of which doGet will be executed. It is the same object of which doGet will be executed. Same object. So if there are 100 concurrent requests landing on your server in one shot, if there are 100 concurrent requests landing on your server for the same servlet with the same URL, of course, that means same servlet. Will there be 100 objects created, or one object created and doGet will execute in 100 different threads? What do you think? Will there be 100 objects created? No. Instead, the same object, the doGet method of the same object will be executed in all the 100 threads. One object will be created with different threads. Yes. So one object created, and it is the same object. It is the same object of which the doGet method will be executed across multiple threads. And that is needless to say now. Come on, I don't need to emphasize this any further, that each request that lands here, okay, each request executes in its in one of the threads from thread pool. Correct? We did discuss this, my friends. We did discuss this. Right? Each and every request that lands on the server gets executed in a different thread from the thread pool. Correct? That's what we discussed. So it is the same servlet object that will be executed. The doGet method of the same servlet object executing in one thread, the doGet method, that means the same logic executing in another thread, same logic executing in the third thread, same logic executing in another thread. Each one of those threads, each one of those threads are executing their respective requests. Now, if this is if this is how it works, if this is how it works, do you think you must be doing something like this? Do you think you must be doing something like this, or you must be doing something like this? Public, static, final. Oh, sorry. You must write public static final. Why is this supposed to be public static final? Public final static string message, yes, and you need to initialize it, of course, is equal to hello, right? Now see, no error, and now you don't need to do this at all. Why? Because you cannot change the values at all, correct? Why? Because, and if suppose you end up doing what was originally there, suppose you end up doing which was originally there, okay, this was originally there, which the IDE generated. Not that IDE is fool. It's okay. It is assuming that I am not a fool. It knows, it assumes that I will not be making changes to the value of this variable from anywhere in the servlet. Because from do get, if I make a change to it, if I say message is equal to new hello, suppose if I do this, suppose if I do this, do not forget it is the same object that is being used. I repeat, it is the same object, and on the same object, the same do get method which is being used. What will happen? It will change the value for all the requests. Come on, yes or no? It will change the value for, got the point? For all the requests because it is the same object. So this IDE is smart in assuming that I am not a fool and I will never do something like this. Okay. And then I have not synchronized over it. Perhaps one thread changes the value, but the other thread will not be able to see the value and still will carry the old value. So ideally, this is supposed to be final. And you write here is equal to hello or whatever, hello world or whatever you want to write. This is advisable. You do something like this. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. This is how you're supposed to do it. And I will comment this here. Right, so that you don't make changes to that at all in the very first place. And since this is not going to change, why do I need to create it at the object level? I can very well use it at the class level, but doesn't matter much. Why? Because there will be anyways one object, so not that multiple objects will be created. Yeah. Okay, sure. So you see how many objects will be created of this servlet? Only one object will be created in memory, and the same object, the do get method of the same object will be executing in multiple threads. So concurrently multiple threads are running, and if one of the threads changes the value, all the other threads will be able to see the changed value. Maybe, may not be, some of the threads may see the changed value, some of the threads may not see because this might have not yet been flushed to the main memory. All a mess. Whenever you have one single object being shared across multiple threads, never update the state of that object unless you synchronize it. We have learned this. If the same object is being updated and read, the state of that object is updated and read from multiple threads, you have to synchronize. In the absence of synchronization, there is a problem. And we don't want that synchronization stuff and all. Always remember, your servlets must not have variables which are non-final. Your servlets must not have variables which you keep on updating over here. This is supposed to be stateless. This is supposed to be what? Stateless. So I will in fact hardcode the value here. I'll say hello world rather than creating a variable and confusing people. So do not maintain the state of the object. Why? Because it is the same object that will be used by multiple threads. And if you keep on updating and reading the state of an object from multiple threads, you may not know whether the values are really perfect or not. And conceptually, if you really wanted that one single object being shared by multiple threads, and you still want to keep the state of an object and you want to be able to change it, then you will have to synchronize it from multiple threads. You will have to synchronize the changing of that value. Well, all why are we going that route? Why am I discussing this? Not necessarily at all. This is down deep. Forget about it. You write it down that you must not ideally. Programmatically, will it give you any error? No. Will it give you any compilation error? No. Will it give you any runtime error? No. But it is not in line with the concept of one object being shared across multiple threads. Do not change the state of an object. And servlets are usually, see, I'm saying this. Did I say you cannot do it? Okay. Programmatically, I didn't say that. Usually, I'm saying the servlets are supposed to be stateless. What do you mean by stateless? It will not have state. How do you have state? I mean, पहले दिन बताया था मैंने आपको. Come on. Right on day one, I had explained to you. What do you mean by the state of an object? What do you mean by the state of an object? You remember? The object and in the properties that you define in the class and the values of those properties all put together becomes the state of an object. So if at all you define a variable here, that means you are defining the state of an object. It must be final. If not final, then in that case, there are issues that you will encounter. So don't do that. Usually the servlets are supposed to be stateless. And even if you define the variables, define the properties, make sure they are final. Example, state of a dog color, breed name. Yes, correct, right? So you can define properties out there. Okay, let me check. Okay, this is asking me to restart. Let me see if I restart and then I get the proper user interface to create a new project. Okay, dump this. Please dump this. Okay, we don't need it. So you do one thing. I'll tell you what to do, friends. Best. Close everything. All of you will do this along with me so that while we are discussing, this gets downloaded. Okay, go to your Chrome and say download IntelliJ for Windows. Okay, and go here to the first option. You see, you'll get this, and you will find an option Ultimate and Community. So download. It's a 30-day trial. Just download the Ultimate Edition. Here it is. 1 minute left. 54 seconds. 47. Wow. And if you have already started, then it will take some time for me. Okay. Sir, we need to click on edit and type src, and below we need to type build classes. It is similar to Eclipse, sir. Yes, yes, but then I am expecting everything to happen automatically. You don't, we never used to do that. And if I make everyone, all 22 of you all do that, it's a pain. Forget about it. And then I don't know what the problems I will, what problems I will encounter as you proceed further. Right. So, Rakesh, could you do that? I mean, you did that and then it worked and you could create the project and you could run the project, Rakesh? Okay. So let's do it then in that case. Wait, friends, don't download. Wait, let's follow what Rakesh is doing. So what Rakesh did is that, once again, what is the name? Spring Tool Suite, right? Okay, where did we install that? We installed that in. Anyways, you can download that in the background as well. And I go here to downloads and then I've got Spring Tool Suite, and then I double click on this. Rakesh, you've got to help us, huh? So I say launch. Okay. No, but I suggest then again, we may have problems with it. So it's okay. I suggest you all download this. You'll download the IntelliJ Ultimate. Yeah, Ultimate is right. Yes, sir. Ultimate one, right? Yes, 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 yes. Download Ultimate Edition. Ultimate, no community. Community you already have. Ultimate Edition. Now see, you'll have already started downloading, hence it is taking some time for me also. So start the download. Let it take time, whatever time it takes. Start the download. Okay. Start the download, and do download Apache software also. Apache Software Foundation. From where are you going to get Apache Software Foundation? Apache. Okay. Download. You can say download Apache Tomcat, and then when you do that, just go to Apache Tomcat and do select here this cat. Download this cat Tomcat, and do select 9.0.48 and download it, and just download it anywhere you like it. It's just 11 MB. Just 11 MB. So Kaushal, if you already have Eclipse and everything, if it is working over there, and if you have Eclipse with JEE, then you can use that. Okay, then you can use that. See, it's a matter of personal choice, if you are comfortable with that IDE, and if everything is working. But in this training program, I suggest we all follow the same standard. We all follow the same, we all follow the same IDE. It becomes easier for us to communicate. So I hope that is fine, Kaushal, right? Use Ultimate Edition. Okay, yeah, let's use Ultimate Edition. Fine. So going back here, friends, see here. So going back here. Now what I'm going to do here is, okay, thanks, Kaushal. See here. So this is how it is. Now, I want to explain to you the life cycle of a servlet. Life cycle of a servlet. But before that, let me run this and show you. Don't worry, I will give you sufficient time to do the same on your own machines. Hello, friends. Just start the download. I hope you are clear on what to download. Ultimate Edition of IntelliJ. And second, you are supposed to download, right? And so second, you are supposed to download Apache software 9.0. Version 9, yes, version 9, Anakin. Version 9. Okay, version 9. Yes. So you all have all started the download, isn't it? You all have started the download. Please confirm. I'll let the download go on, and I will continue explaining this. Okay, good. So you see this, the moment I create my application out here, I have an option to run this. Can you see this here? I have an option to run this. So when I click here, you know, see here, automatically under services it comes up and it starts the server. It is not started yet. It is starting the server. It will now start the server. You see this? It is starting the server now. Take a look. And you see in my browser, I have Hello World and Hello Servlet. Where is this coming from? Hello World and Hello Servlet. This is where you see the do get method. See HTML and body is written over here. Hello World is written here. Can you see this? And body. Can you see this here, friends? Print writer out dot response dot get writer, isn't it? Right? And you're saying, and you're getting this hello world. You can see that, right? Hello world. And but then this is the hello world that you are getting. Now, wait a minute. You're getting this hello world as a result of the JSP. When I click over here, then it takes me to the servlet and whatever I have written over here. Now, what is that JSP? Please take a look. Within web app folder, okay, you have something called index.jsp. Please take a look. You have something called index.jsp, right? It is this index.jsp that Okay, right. So this is index.jsp. It is just JSP that gets executed. Now, how does it know that the moment my application starts, the landing page is the JSP? If I go to my web.xml file, okay, just because the name is index.jsp, it will automatically pick up. If you want to override that, then here you do have loads of options over here that you can specify welcome file list, and under welcome file list, if at all it is not index.jsp, suppose home or something else, then I can specify that over here, but I don't need to do it. That's okay, right? This is index.jsp. And on index.jsp, you please see ahref, there is hello servlet and hello servlet out here. You can see that this is that hello servlet. If I say welcome to hello servlet, this is what I'm going to get. And I need to, of course, restart my application server after making changes. And then when I go back here, see when I say refresh, you see this welcome to hello servlet. But when I click on welcome to hello servlet, can you see this hello servlet out here? This is the reference href, hypertext, right, markup language. So I say hello servlet is the URL pattern. How come it understands that when you click on this, hello servlet is supposed to be executed? Because this is the pattern. Can you please see this? If I click over here, you can see this is the pattern, friends. Okay, you see this? When I click over here, this is the pattern. Can you see this? Slash hello servlet. Slash hello servlet is the pattern. And this is what you have configured here. You see this? Hello servlet. Take a look at this. Hello servlet. Isn't it? Right? So when I click on that, it executes. This is the pattern. And based on that pattern, it understands that this is the servlet that is supposed to be executed. Isn't it? This is how it works. Now, another point here, friends. Another point. While that is getting downloaded, so let me check. Okay, in my case, ultimate edition is already downloaded. What about y'all? What about y'all? And I just double click on this and the installation will start. You see this ultimate edition 2021, and I say run. Okay, always run before this is all fine. Say run. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Whatever time it takes, it's cool. You see this, the installer will start. I'll say next. And then wherever it is supposed to install by default, let that get installed by default under program files. I'll say next. I'll say next. Okay, keep on saying next, 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 and then it will do the installation for you. Correct. So after checking on the download button on Tomcat version 9, it is taking me to another page. I don't know what you're saying, but you see this. You see this here. I must click here on this cat and then here 9, and then when I said download here, you see this. When I click on download here, it starts downloading. It's going to somewhere, but it will start downloading. Now, because every one of you are downloading a lot of things, then hence it is a bit slow here, but then otherwise it will down. Try it out, check it out. It should work. Okay, it should work. Oops. Okay, so I will close this as well and see this is getting installed on my local machine, right? So anyone else downloaded successfully? Monisha downloaded successfully? No? Yes? No? I didn't get you. Okay, okay. No, no, no problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. So let me continue a few things over here. Okay, so let the download continue, friends. Or do you all want me to wait? Do you all want me to wait? Okay, so please see this. Okay, it's completed. So if I say run IntelliJ, it will start IntelliJ. Okay, it will very well start IntelliJ now, and I can then click on finish. But in the meanwhile, let it get installed on your machines and let it happen. So now this is something important. You cannot miss this. You cannot afford to miss this. So see, there is a life cycle of the servlet object. What is the life cycle? Constructor will be certainly executed. I repeat, constructor will certainly be executed. That's the basic concept of Java. The moment an object of a class is created, the constructor will be executed. I have a question to you all. Who is going to create an object of this hello servlet? Are we creating the object of this hello servlet, or it is the Tomcat container that is going to create the hello servlet? Yes, the server. Correct. Correct. We don't create object of this class at all. Very correct. We don't create the object of this class at all. All right. Hey, hello friends. You tell me, y'all have attended these trainings, this kind of training earlier. Y'all are aware of this, or this is the very first time you are, all of you are, going through this, or y'all have already done. Anand is aware. First time, very first time. Manisha, first time. No, first time. First time. Okay. Take it. Right. Right. Okay. So almost all of y'all are going through this the very first time. Great. So you see, it has got a life cycle. So constructor will certainly get executed, 101%, right? That's fine. And who is creating the object of this class? I have learned Java Basic, but before, but servlet is the first time. Okay, very nice. So as far as the servlet is concerned, we did not create an object of this class. It is the responsibility of your server. Now, when I say server, Tomcat server. If it was JBoss, then JBoss server. If it was WebLogic, then WebLogic server. But it is the Tomcat server here in our case, which creates an object of this class. Now, this Tomcat server and JBoss server and so on, they are also known as, within that, Tomcat has got only and only the web container, or rather to be more specific, a servlet container. You will find people saying that Tomcat is a servlet container. You will find people saying WebLogic has a servlet container, or you may call it having a web container. Whether you say web J2EE web container, or JEE web container, or JEE servlet container, or just the servlet container, all one and the same thing. I repeat, web container, servlet container, one and the same thing. So when you say servlet container, you remember I did mention that it is supposed to conform to the standards. What the standards are? The API. Which API? Servlet API. Got that? And as per the servlet API, there are certain standards that it is supposed to maintain. I mean, instead of now saying standards, I can very well make a statement. I'm sure you understand that now, that the servlet container from Tomcat will provide you the implementation of the APIs of the interfaces that are there in servlet API. See the servlet interface here. So please see, I have created an HTTP servlet that extends from HTTP servlet. Hello servlet that extends from HTTP servlet. HTTP servlet extends from generic servlet. Generic servlet implements what? What does generic servlet implement? What does it implement? Servlet, right? We talked about it, friends. Servlet. We talked about it. This is at the heart of it. This is at the heart of it, right? I will close this. I will close this, and then I will come back over here. Now this is the servlet object which will be executed and for which the URL pattern that is set is hello servlet. This is the URL pattern. That means if the request that comes to the server ends with this, or if it is this, it will execute the servlet. Now, if the method that is used by the request, when the request is sent to the server, if the HTTP method is get, then do get will execute it. And if the method is post, post will be executed. You remember that, you remember that, the get and post. Well, if it is get, whether get or post, you can see this HTTP servlet request. You remember this HTTP servlet request? You remember this is passed as a parameter here, so that you can have access to, I can say request dot get parameter. You remember we talked about a request parameter, and whatever is the name of the parameter, I will be able to get the value. If I say name, last name, first name, last name, address, password, this, that, I just simply say request dot get parameter and I will get the value. Then the body of the request, well, you don't say request or get body of the request or something. You still say get parameter, whatever the case is, if it is parameter, if the value is in the body of the request, it will pick up from there. If the value of that parameter is in the URL, it will pick up from there. Whether get or post, it doesn't matter. The same function will be used in order to get the value that has been sent by the client in the request. If you want to get the header, then request.get header. Can you see this? Now you remember we had written our own server, that pathetic server that we had written, right? That useless server that we had written. But that useless server at least helped us to understand what it really means by handling the request. So instead of me reinventing the wheel and instead of me writing my, that bakwas server, of course I'm going to use Tomcat server. See, everything is all ready made here. Everything is available here. I have got HTTP. I don't need to worry about anything, parsing the request. I don't need to worry about parsing the string. I don't need to worry about catching hold of that, whether it is a post or a get. I don't need to worry about if it's get, then get me the value from the URL or from the body of the request. I don't need to read the entire string and then parse it and then see what are the headers. I just get it right here. And if I want to write something back to the response, here it is. You remember we did talk about HTTP servlet response. So here you go, HTTP servlet response, and with the response, I get a writer, and I just simply write it out.println, and I can keep on writing whatever I want to write. You're getting the point? See the convenience that this provides to me. You got that? So similarly, I can write do post as well. But then see the life cycle of this entire servlet. So servlet object will be created by your Tomcat servlet container. Now, first and foremost, why do we call these as containers? Why do we call servlet container, or rather the Tomcat web container, or why do we call it web, container? Why is that term container? Why container? What do you mean by container? Suppose if I say this is the container, that means it is supposed to contain something. It will contain something or the other. Am I right? It will contain, hold some value. So which value? What value do you think it holds? So if I say it's a servlet container, what do you think it holds? It holds references to. If I say it's a servlet container, that container will hold references to. Come on. It is a Yes. No, it doesn't hold the URLs. I'm saying it is a servlet container. What does that mean? It holds the references to servlets. Okay, okay. Collection of objects. Which objects? Object of which type? I'm saying it's a servlet container. So it will hold the references to the objects of which class? What kind of classes? Servlets. Yes, servlets. Yes, servlets. It holds references. And when it holds references to it, it knows that there are 10 servlets, 15 servlets, 20 servlets, whatever the number of servlets are. It knows that there are servlets, these many servlets, and for each servlet, what is the URL pattern? So when the request comes to the server, it knows, the container knows, oh, this is the URL pattern. Let me pick up the reference of so and so servlet and execute the do get if it was the get method. If the URL pattern is something else, it understands, oh, if this is the URL pattern, then let me pick up so and so servlet and serve the request executing the do get or the do post method. And suppose the servlet container receives a request. I repeat, if servlet container receives the request of a URL which is not mapped to any servlet, what will the servlet container do? I repeat, you send something like yabadabadu slash yabadabadu. Suppose if I do this, okay, I say localhost and I say slash 18. By default, where is this running? See this now. Where is this running? Services. On which port it is running? On local port. All right. It will tell you that it's running on which port. Oopsie. Okay. Yeah, here it is. It's running on port 8080. Can you see this? It's running on port 8080. This is the context. This is the root context. Yeah, port 8080. Thanks. So you see this, I go to Chrome. Suppose if I'm more comfortable with Chrome and I do this, and if I hit the enter key, slash, I do something else, which is not hello servlet. If I give hello servlet, if I give hello servlet and hit the enter key, I get the hello servlet. Why? Because it is mapped. Hello servlet URL is mapped to some servlet. But if I say hello servlet hyphen do something like that. Now if I hit the enter key, same thing, the request is going to go to the servlet container. The servlet container will try to search for a servlet which is mapped to this URL pattern. It doesn't get one. What will it return back? Which status code will it return back? Which status code do you think it is going to return back? Yes, 404. Excellent. Brilliant. It's going to send 404. Very correct. Not found. Page not found. Perfect. Right? 404. That's what it is going to return back. Correct. So that's what, the container contains the references of the servlet objects. Each servlet object is mapped to the URL pattern. Now, so one thing is very clear, that it is the servlet container that creates the instance of the servlet class. It is very clear that the servlet container keeps the reference of these objects of the servlet class, and then it executes the life cycle. What is that life cycle? INIT. INIT. What is this INIT? This INIT is the INIT of initialization of the servlet. So if you want to initialize something of the servlet, right? If you want to initialize, then in that case, this is the way you do the initialization. You can write some code over here for initialization, maybe some final variables that you wanted to update. Well, if it's a final variable, you will have to put it here and here itself. But then anything else, like some kind of initialization that you want to do, but if you want to keep the servlet here, the context, for example, if you wanted to keep the context, then you can very well assign the servlet context here. We will come to servlet context, but this is the first thing that will be executed. I'll say out, and I will say hello servlet. Hello servlet is put in service. What does this mean? That the moment it is going to hold on to the reference and put the reference into the servlet container, it will execute this code. Take a look. That will happen immediately. It will not wait for a request to come. See this. You can see this. Okay, connected to the server, and then you can see this here. Okay, so I think it's going to initialize it the very first time it receives a request. I click over here, so it will initialize it, and then you can see this hello servlet is put in request. Now I clear this up. Okay, now when I go to this particular servlet 100 times, also it will not create the instance again and again. It will not execute the initialization again and again. So how many times do you think in the life cycle of the servlet the init method will be executed? How many times do you think in the life cycle of one time? Exactly, one time. Exactly. What about the do get method? What about the do get method? I'll say s out, and I say do get is executed. Do get is executed. When do you think this will be executed? Each time the request comes. Yeah, per request. Very good, Rakesh. Very nice. Per request. Each time the request lands on the server, it will execute it. Right? So please see, I will clear this off, and I click here. So no doubt, first time, it puts in service, it gets executed, it do get is executed. Then again, refresh, 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 refresh. Each time you can see this do get is executed, but that INIT gets executed only once. Got that? Right? Okay. So this is how it is. And then you have correct, the do post method as well. But then the do post is what? If the method is going to post, then do post will be executed. That's how it is. Now tell me, what is the status of your download? Okay, just keep on clicking on it, and then you see this. So you have got now IntelliJ installed. So you can search for IntelliJ IDEA, and instead of saying Community Edition, IntelliJ. Where did that get installed? IntelliJ installed. Very nice. Okay. So yes, you see now from here you can search for it, sir. Should we select JetBrains, sir, in start menu? Wait. So yes. Keep everything default. IntelliJ got installed, but Tomcat taking to another page. Why is Tomcat taking? But anyways, it is getting downloaded or not, Pooja? Is Tomcat getting downloaded or not? I have downloaded it successfully. You see this in this folder, in this folder, in this file explorer. I did download. See this in downloads folder. You see this Apache Tomcat. I have Apache Tomcat downloaded. Okay, let me go to this Chrome once again. Okay, see this. Download Apache Tomcat, and you click here, the very first one. I hope you clicked on, or maybe I hope you clicked on this. I hope you clicked on this. And then I hope you clicked on this download here. And now when I click on this download here, yeah, it takes you to another, correct. It takes you to another page and click on zip, na. Download the zip file, see? Download the zip file. You must download the zip file. You must download the zip file. Okay, and then you can click here and then you can say continue. And then here you can say evaluate for free. Okay, and don't put these options, otherwise it will ask for the email ID, right? Don't select these options, and then you say evaluate, right? You've got 30 days left, continue, and then it starts. Got it? And then from here you create new project. All with me? So okay, confirm to me once you have reached here. Confirm to me once you have reached here. Yeah. So you see this is how you will run it. I'll say add configuration, and here you need to say plus. And when you say plus, you can just simply go to uh, Tomcat. You can see this Tomcat local, right? Tomcat local, and say Tomcat 9.0.48. It will pick that up directly. Nothing, just nothing. Just run it, Chandra. Okay. And then you see everything is all default. Keep everything as default. Port is 8080 and stuff, HTTPS port and stuff and all. And I'll say just fix configured. Okay, so no artifacts configured. You can very well configure the artifacts, but then that's also okay. You say click on apply, and you can say okay. Now when you say apply and okay, you see here you are, right? So you've got this. See, just say okay, and here you go. And then you just select this and say run. You can call him up, Likita. You can call him up. I hope you have his number. Okay, so 8080 is already in use, it says, because maybe there is something running on 8080 already. So what is running on 8080 already? Okay. Okay, there are some services that are running. Okay, can someone share the number of Arul with her, please? Oh, Tomcat 9 is already configured, is it? Okay, we don't want to use that. So they might have installed Tomcat as a service. No worries about that. So you see, you can click over here, you can click here, and you can say edit configuration. You can see this edit configuration, select Tomcat 9, scroll down and make this as 8081. Make it as 8081. You can see this here, 8081. say apply, okay, and then run it. Yes, here you go. Here you go. Correct? It starts, and when you click on Hello Servlet, here you go. Okay, you tried calling him, and then he's not responding. So let me check. Let me check. I'll call him up. Arul.
Hello?
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Arul.
Yes, sir, tell me, sir.
Yeah, Arul. One participant, Likita, she's trying to call you, but she
Okay,
says
sir.
you are not taking the call. So can you please take her call, please?
Sure, sir, sure, sir.
Okay.
I
Thank
will.
you. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Try calling him now. Right, friends. So how many of y'all could change the port and make it run? So you can click here, you can say edit configuration, and this is the place where you can change the port. Very good, Anikendu. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Good. Very good. Right? So please take a look. Okay. Don't start doing it on your machine, friends. First see. I will create a new servlet. I will click right mouse button here. I'll say new, and I'm sure I'm going to get an option of creating a servlet out here. You can see the servlet. So when I click on servlet, I can give the name of the servlet as customer servlet. As customer servlet. Can you see this customer servlet? And then let the folder, I mean the package name and everything be as it is. Just leave it blank. And then I click on OK. Now the moment I do that, you see this customer servlet is created, and by default it is given customer servlet as the URL pattern. Instead of that, change that to customers. So when you say customers, you know, it will automatically, if this is the URL pattern that is selected, then in that case it will bring you to this customer submit. And you've got both here when you create, see do get as well as the do post. You see this do get and do post, right? And from do get, so let's go ahead with do get. What you need to do is that you need to get the writer with the response. So I'll say response dot get writer. What do you get is print writer on the right hand side. Print writer. And I say writer is equal to, now this is the response writer. Oops, sorry. This is the response writer. With this response writer, I'll say writer dot out. Okay, write, writer dot. I'll say write. Okay, I'll say write. Okay, you may call it writer or you may call it out, whatever the name of the variable is. That's absolutely fine. Now, what is this supposed to take? This is supposed to take, I'll say HTML slash, just say body slash h1 and say customer, or just say hello customer. Hello, and I'll say customer slash h1 slash, I'll I'll close the body tag and slash, I'll say HTML. I'll close the HTML tag as well. That's it, done. That's it. Oops, this is horrible. So file settings, keyword, clips. Okay, let this be as it is. So now that's it. That's it. It's done. And I'll go to my web page. I'll go to index.jsp, and here in index.jsp, I will create yet another h1, or rather yet another href. See, when you use these hotkeys here in the let's say paste here, right? Instead of hello servlet, what will I give? Customers, right? I'll give customers, isn't it? And here I'll say customer servlet. That's it. Now I will restart this. I'll save everything, save all, and then I run this again. And I say update classes and resources. Yes, okay, correct. So now you see this. I go back and I refresh. Okay, it's still coming up, it seems. Okay, I have restarted. Hope there are no errors. Okay, so you see now you have option of customer servlet as well. We had hello servlet, that works fine. Now when I click on customer servlet, it says hello customer. So I am on customer servlet. This is the URL pattern that is mapped to the customer servlet. You can see this. This is the URL pattern. And this is what I have written. Isn't it, friends? Come on. You're getting the point? Please complete this. So I think quite a few of you all have not yet completed this. So please complete this and then okay, okay, okay. Pretty simple stuff now coming at. Now listen to this. Uh, there are two major things that I want to talk about. One is the session object. You remember we did talk about something called session object, and I would like to talk about the servlet context also. So we have talked about the servlet. We have created a servlet. We have created a HTTP. We have used HTTP servlet. We have used HTTP servlet response. Now the HTTP session. How do you use that HTTP session in any one of the servlets? Any one of the servlets, wherever. If you want to maintain the state of the client, like you remember, I had given you an example of user selecting different items on the page or different pages, different sending different requests to the server and saying that this is what I want to buy, this is what I want to buy, and then finally when the user clicks on show my cart, you need to show him the list of all the items that he or she has selected. So when the person selects a particular item, you need to put that item in what? For that particular user in the session object. How do you get the session object? You can always say, you can always write HTTP session. You can see this HTTP session. Session is equal to, you can write request dot get session. This is how you will get the session object. And if you pass true as a value here, if there is no session object created up till now for that user, it will automatically create the session. Okay, that's how it works. So once you have created the session object, you can always say session dot, you can say put, you can see that put value, or else you can also say set attribute. You can see this set attribute. So you can set the value, you can say set attribute, and now you can decide on the object in which you would want to maintain the state of the client. Like for example, you want to maintain it in the list of, list of list of purchases or list of items. So you create a class called item, and then you say list of item is equal to new array list, and then in that you keep on putting the value, and that array list you put it into the session object. So you say session, or say for example cart is the name of the variable, not session of course, or any name that you would want to give. So I'll say cart. Okay, I won't now continue writing here because this is very tedious for me. I cannot use the hotkeys and stuff, and my speed gets affected. So let me go to my own IntelliJ, right? So I will do away with this. There is something else that I will explain to you later. Okay, so you have got hello servlet. So how do you do this now? You say HTTP session, You can see that. I'll say session is equal to, I will write request dot get session, and then session dot set attribute. I need to give the name of the attribute, say for example cart, and then I can put that array list. Suppose that array list is like a list of, I'm putting object here, but then of course it will be a class like item or something like that. And how do you create them? It's pretty simple stuff. You can say a package, you can give the name of the package as model, and then within that you create another class, you say item, something like that, and then you create properties of this class. So you can always create list of item, right? And you'll say cart items. You can of course import this because it's in a different package. Import this. Okay, java.detail.list is equal to, first you will check whether the session object, in the session object those cart items are already there, because it is quite possible that in this request when he comes he is selecting the second item, so the first item is already selected. So typically this is how you do it, right? You say session.get attribute, and you will say cart, right? This is what you do. You say cart. If that cart items is okay, you need to of course typecast it. This is called typecasting, because whatever you retrieve, get attribute gives you only and only an object. If you need to convert it to the list of items, then you'll have to use typecasting. List of item here like this. Now no compilation errors. So you will check if cart items is equal to null. That means this is the first item the user is putting. Then you say cart items is equal to new array list, correct? And whatever is the item object that you want, you can put it into that array list. You say cart and then correct. In short, you will use HTTP session and then you will put back those cart items here. You will add the new item now. Definitely you will add a new item to the cart items, and that item will be there in the request object. Right, there will be a form on the browser, and then he will fill up the form, or maybe he selects, if it's an item, he will be selecting it, and then he says, submit, or he just says selects, and the request comes to the server, and there is an item ID in the request. You get that ID. Based on that, you pick up the item from the database and put it into the cart. In short, that's all the part of logic, business logic. So, what I'm discussing with you is the API. So if you want to maintain the state of the client across multiple requests, it is the HTTP session that you will be using, and this is how you get the HTTP session. This is how you get the value out of it, and this is how you put the value back into it. Set attribute, get attribute. There is a tester. You will be having a test. So HTTP session, request.get session. Remember this. Remember this point. If you want to maintain the state of the client server side, state of the client means what? The user using his browser. So if you want to maintain the state of the user server side, you will use HTTP session. But if you want to maintain the state of not the state of the client, but you want to maintain something which is global to that application, which is one per application, then in that case you will need a servlet context. So how do you get the servlet context? You can always say request dot get servlet context. Can you see this here? So I'll say servlet context ctx is equal to, okay, request.get servlet context. Here also you can very well say ctx dot, I can say ctx dot, I can say set attribute. You can see the set attribute, and I can put the values in it. So these values that I put here will be common to all these HTTP sessions. So see, one is the shortest life cycle is of the request, HTTP session for each user, and a servlet context for the entire application. That's what I mentioned here. See this? You see this here? Request object, request represents the request object. Servlet context represents the one single object for that entire application, and HTTP session represents one object per user. Don't forget, these are important points. There is a test towards the end of this module. Okay, so remember this. This is how it is. This is how it is, right? Any doubts, any questions here? Just remember HTTP session objects, and you've got servlet context object. You got that? Right? And ideally, a session object is created whenever user logs onto the system. You destroy the session object whenever the user user logs out to the system, right? User logs out to the system. So when the user logs out to the system, you can say session dot. You can say session dot. From here also you can get it. Okay, you can just simply have the session. You can just simply have the session cleared, right? You can have just simply have the session cleared, and you can make sure that the session and within the session, if at all the user interface user information is there, you just remove that attribute. Correct? That's it. That's what you need to do. Okay, that's how. So this is how you work with HTTP sessions, and this is how you work with servlet context. So remember, these are the objects that are there, right? Then next is pretty interesting stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'll go back to my hello servlet. Okay, you remember the customer servlet that you created? I created that in my VDI. I'm going to create it again over here. So this is my hello servlet, but here I'll say servlet. Okay, or else I'll click right mouse button here, new, and yeah, here it is servlet. So I will give the name of the servlet as what? Customer servlet. Okay, my customer servlet. So customer servlet is created. I'll say customers is the URL pattern. And very, very interesting and important stuff, friends. Please understand this. Suppose the moment you land on this and what we have done in Hello Servlet is that we have taken a print writer and we have written HTML like this. This is how we are rendering the HTML. Do you think this makes sense? Do you think this is a good way of writing HTML? HTML, if you write HTML like this, yeah, it's very clumsy. You would want to write HTML like this in GSPs. In GSPs. So what you want is that you want in your web app, you would want to create a GSP, right? And that GSP file is like, for example, customer.jsp.jsp, right? And in that customer.jsp, you say, welcome to customer maintenance, something like this, welcome to customer maintenance. And in the body of the request, you say h1/h1, you say welcome to customer maintenance. So this is what we have. And then I would like to put an HR also over here, right? A horizontal rule. So I'm just creating, a GSP. Now this is a GSP. I can write in customer.jsp. I can write whatever I want. Any kind of HTML, JavaScript, CSS that I want to write, I can write here. And what I want is that the moment the do get of customer servlet happens, the moment you land on the servlet, the moment you go to that servlet, it must render that GSP. You got my requirement? You got my requirement? What is it that I want? So from the do get method, I do not want to hard code the HTML here. I would rather like to write my HTML in customer.jsp here, and then here I must write some code which will forward the request to that customer.jsp. Come on, don't you think that would be a better thing to do? Forward the request to customer.jsp. Instead of writing here, I will be forwarding it to customer.jsp. So how do we do that? How do we do that? Very simple. I will say get me the request dispatcher. Request dispatcher. I'll say dispatcher is equal to, you see this? I have got request object here. I will say request.get request dispatcher. For which GSP? I'll say customer.jsp. See this? You see this customer.jsp here? I'm taking a dispatcher for that customer.jsp here. Once I've got a dispatcher, simple enough. I'll say dispatcher dot forward the same request and response. So it's continuing. So it lands on the servlet, but it forwards the request to JSP. So the JSP is rendered. Correct. So I'll say request comma response. That's it. That's it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my index.jsp, and in index.jsp I'll put an HR over here, and so HR will give a horizontal rule, and then on the next line I will just simply write what customers. I'm going to go to what? Customers. customers, because this is the URL pattern of the servlet. Please check. This is the URL pattern of the servlet customer servlet customers. So I say customers here, and I'll say go to customers. Okay. In the real life, you will have a good menu system created with styling and all that stuff. For now, this is just okay. So I just go back here and I stop the server and I restart the server. Right. So you see, I have an additional option of customers. Go to customers. When I click on this, I'm going to which servlet? Please answer. Which servlet do you think I'm going to? Which servlet I will be taken to? Customer servlet. Very nice. And in the customer servlet, in the do get method of customer servlet, what did I write? That I've got to forward the request to which JSP? Yes, customer.jsp, right? Customer.jsp. So please see this. When I click over here, it forwards the request to customer.jsp. Please recollect, welcome to customer maintenance. And this horizontal rule is written where? Is it written in the servlet? Is that HTML written in the servlet, or it is here in customer.jsp? It is there in customer.jsp. So this is how you forward the request. There are two ways of doing it. One is forwarding the request. The other is including the request. What does that mean is, I may want to not just simply forward, but include the header, then include some content of GSP and some GSP which has got, the header of the header of the page, maybe some common menu, and then the body, and then the footer. So I may include three things here instead of forwarding to some GSP, right? So two ways. It's just simple include or say forward one and the same thing. No, not one and the same thing. One is including multiple GSP, the other is just forwarding to one particular GSP. So that's the difference. Well, but then if you have understood forward, you will be able to work with include as well whenever you need to work with. So please do this, friends, on your machine exactly the way I have done. I want you to create customer.jsp, write some code here, some simple HTML here like this, and then make sure that from customer servlet you use a request dispatcher in order to go to customer GSP. Come on, friends, start doing this on your machines. It shouldn't take more than 5 minutes max. Come on.